This is the Chatterbox Network, and I'm Sassy Girl, aka Trisha, aka Lady P. If you're here for the truth, clarity, and conversations that don't dodge reality, you're in the right place. Let's talk. Hi, and welcome to the Chatterbox Network. I'm your host, Sassy Girl, also known as Trisha, and yes, Lady P for Patricia, depending on the day and how much truth needs to be told. I'm here to enlighten, educate, inspire, and uplift. And we're going to laugh along the way because growth without humor is just stress dressed up as wisdom. I'm known for being straightforward, unapologetically honest, and a little sassy. Not reckless sass, intentional sass. The kind that cuts through confusion, challenges narratives, and leaves room for healing and elevation. This podcast is brought to you by the Chatterbox Network, where real conversations live, truth has a voice, and silence is no longer an option. So sit back, relax, open your mind, and let's get into today's conversation. I got some things on my mind I want to talk about when it comes to these damn narcissists. And I'm just going to go ahead and just speak my mind for a minute because I have studied this for many, many years through personal experience and also through tangible research. And I think there's just some things that I can say and things that I can share that could really benefit some of you women out there and men who are looking for answers about these toxic motherfuckers. So I'm just going to really just speak my mind right here. And forgive me if I repeat things, but everything is interrelated. And you will hear me reference back and forth to, certain terms. Just bear with me and hear me out. Now, what first comes to mind is that a narcissist, whenever they feel like the gag is up and you done figured they ass out, they will sprint to the nearest warm body, coworker, cousin, cashier at the Dollar General, stray dog, literally anyone, to preach the gospel of you're the crazy one or that you have issues. They will pass out that diagnosis like it's Black Friday. It's like a Black Friday coupon, hoping anybody will validate their version of reality. Meanwhile, you're at home sipping your tea, minding your business, trying to understand how you became the town hallucination in their little fantasy play. But here's the secret though. Every time they accuse you of being unstable, they accidentally leak a little bit of their own chaos, a little bit of their own bullshit into the equation. It's projection at its finest. Not a mirror on the wall. It's like a whole IMAX projector showing their dysfunction in 4K Ultra HD. And let's be honest, they missed a few hugs as a child, like several. If you talk to them long enough, you'll hear about the betrayals that they received at the hands of their mothers in particular. Enough to create a spiritual vitamin deficiency, enough to warp their inner world so badly that love becomes a battlefield and trust becomes an urban legend. It's like they develop these mommy issues, trust issues with women so deep that hell, they could host their own TED talk show to avoid accountability. And when they grow up, the hypocrisy just gets to an all-time high. It becomes a mindset. It becomes pretty much like a lifestyle. They call it pimping. They call it having game. You can reframe it to whatever you want to call it, but that's what it is. Now, when it comes to this pulpit pimp phenomenon, let's talk about how narcissists love to cosplay as community leaders. They'll jump on their soapbox, you can call it a pulpit or whatever you want to say it is, and deliver a sermon about unity, integrity, and upliftment. Ain't done nothing uplifting but their own ego. It's like they throw up a race fist talking about black blood, black power, while running side hustles that will make your grandmother clutch her pearls and your pastor faint right into the baptism pool. 1 minute they're Malcolm X, the next minute they're Future. 5 minutes next later, they're Dr. Umar. We all know who the hell his ass is. And then by the afternoon, they're pimping emotional labor out of women like it's a multi-level marketing scheme. They call that pimping, or whatever the fuck they call it. And all the while, They're poisoning their own community with the same dysfunction that was planted in them. And then they refuse to uproot. Instead of healing, they'll spread the generational curses like they're handing out church nets. Because remember, the women that they're fucking over and the women that they are the train wrecks in their lives that's emotionally damaging these women. Oftentimes they leave these women with babies. And guess what? These broken, cracked-minded ass women, because their emotions is fucked up, because they are, number one, they already got childhood issues and traumas, and then you come through and you fuck them up emotionally. Then these broken women, broken times two, got to raise your children, so then you get to blame your children for being fucked up when you add it to the conditions to make them grow up in a fucked up situation. Make it make sense. I'm a product of that shit too. Only my mother was strong enough to push past that. A lot of people aren't. Some women are so wrapped up in their issues that they can't push past it, and they just bring their kids into that dysfunction. I was blessed, but there are a lot of other people are not. And so it's just like they just want to be the epicenter of their own revolution, but more often than not, they are the epicenter of mess. And as far as accountability, you know, narcissists treat accountability like it's an airborne allergen. You know, they avoid it as a way a kid avoids chores or whatever. You know, it's just like to them saying I was wrong might as well be like them saying I'm weak. And because their ego is made of wet tissue paper and wishful thinking, they have to build a world where they're always the hero, they're always the martyr, they're always the misunderstood genius. So they rewrite history, they revise the script, they change the narrative mid-scene, and they convince the crowd that you're unstable while they're over there juggling lies, broken dreams, and women that they promised heaven to but just delivered hell, pretty much, you know. The inner truth that they run from, here's the punchline. Deep down, I mean way deep down, in a dusty corner that even they don't even visit. They know that they are broken. They know that their love is counterfeit. Someone will even tell you I ain't shit. And you go, no, don't say that. When the motherfucker tell you who they are, believe them the first time. You know, they know that they've hurt people. They know that they haven't healed, and they know that they're the source of a lot of chaos. And the moment that they slow down long enough to look in the mirror, even for a second, the reflection tells the truth that what they've been running from, that you're responsible for this mess. And that terrifies them more than losing control. So what do we do with this? When we emerge from the hell and chaos of dealing with a narcissist, when we come out of the fire, we tell the truth. We shine the light on the darkness. We stop swallowing their narrative like communion wafers and start feeding ourselves clarity instead. We refuse to participate in their circus, and we stop expecting a soul that's in fragments to love us whole. You can't fix what they refuse to acknowledge. And you can't love someone until accountability. They got to want it. And you can't rescue somebody who keeps jumping back into the burning building because they like the way the fire makes them look dramatic. You can't do shit for people like that. You know, they'll call you unstable and say you have issues because you saw the real them. They'll call you crazy because you wouldn't carry their chaos anymore. And they will call you the problem because their ego can't survive the truth. And that's why we must talk about it. Because honestly, make it make sense. You know? And the whole thing is, I think the bottom line, when it comes to insecurity, abandonment, stalking, not being able to let go, saying if I can't have you, nobody will, and all this other bullshit, I just think it all runs down to mommy issues. And it shows up in men like a glitch in the system, a busted emotional app that never got updated. Their whole personality is a software crash caused by one unresolved childhood file called Mom Didn't Love Me Right, or Didn't Love Me Enough, or love the men that she fucked with, or love money, or her drugs, or whatever it is. That's the bottom line. And if you tell a narcissist that, they'll cut your ass out. But it's the truth. I've seen it more than once. You know? A narcissist with mommy issues is a different breed. You know, this is a man who thinks that everyone owes him emotional labor rent-free, wants a girlfriend, a therapist, a maid, a mommy, and a rehab program all in one, falls apart the second a woman says no, gets defensive like he's being audited by the IRS, craves validation like oxygen. That's why they have so many bitches, ain't got no connection with none of them, and thinking that that raises their value. They confuse control with connection. That's when they stalk your ass and be hiding in the bushes and slashing your tires and shit. They gonna say, "Cause I love you." No, motherfucker, cause you crazy. And all these men think accountability is a trap set by the enemy. These men were not under hug, they were under raised, unfortunately. They want women to be their emotional support animals, pretty much. They'll swear they're strong men, but the minute you stop coddling them, oh baby, they'll crumble up like dollar store cookies. They'll weaponize their childhood trauma. They'll manipulate you with pity. They'll claim that you're cold because you refuse to parent a grown man with a beard and a driver's license. Meanwhile, they're chasing the love that they never healed from, still trying to recreate the affection that they missed, and still punishing women for wounds that they won't even treat. They'll, and the hypocrisy gets real loud. They'll talk about protecting black women while dogging out every woman that they date. They'll holler queen in public and call you a bitch or a motherfucker in private. They'll preach loyalty and live double lives. They'll claim spiritual death and then operate in pure chaos. And they'll bark revolutionary slogans while their actual behavior is sponsored by dysfunction, insecurity, and emotional dust bunnies. And then they'll gaslight you into reacting to the storm that they actually created. Sir, if you don't go sit your ass in the therapist's office that you clearly need, they trip. And the equation is as simple as this: mommy issues plus narcissism equals a menace. Period. It's not a personality. It's not just how he is. It's not just he's been through a lot. All those are excuses that the flying monkeys will tell you to justify the bullshit. What it is untreated emotional mildew. It's weaponized childhood trauma. It's insecurity wearing a dashiki. It's immaturity dipped in manipulation. It's a soul running on Windows 95 in the year 2025. And instead of healing, they'll project. Instead of growing, they blame. Instead of self-reflection, they'll smear you. And because your strength exposes their weakness and your clarity exposes their confusion, they're going to say you were the damn problem. Your boundaries expose their brokenness. And that is something that they cannot handle, There's a special kind of chaos that comes wrapped in the narcissist's skin. The kind that walks through a room smiling like a saint while hiding under a tornado under his ribcage, and nothing fuels that tornado quite like mommy issues. Not the cute kind, not the he just need a hug kind. No, these are deep-rooted, generational, untreated, emotional plague kind. Now, as far as the smear campaign Olympics, and narcissists will run from person to person. Co-workers, cousins, complete strangers, mutual friends, trying to sell the history and the story that you're the unstable one. They hand out that narrative like election flyers nobody asked for. Their goal, to make you look like the problem so nobody noticed the dumpster fire inside their own soul. Meanwhile, you're only crying with seeing them clearly. They can't have that. Clarity is their enemy. And truth is their kryptonite. So when they spin the block looking for witnesses to co-sign to the big lie, big enough to cover their own dysfunction, just know what it is and call a thing a thing, Now, the mommy issues, that right there, that's the blueprint. Let's get to the root. These aren't just wounded little boys. These are men who never healed their original betrayal, that their mother didn't give them the love, nurturing, or the security that they needed as a child. And instead of facing that and dealing with that wound, they weaponize it. They'll take it out on every woman they meet. A narcissist with money issues, not money issues, but mommy issues, will grow into the kind of man who sees women as an emotional vending machine. They will demand loyalty without giving any stability. They want to see your loyalty first. They want to see if you down first, and then you'll never see the other side of that shit on them. They'll waste your time. They mistake control for connection. They will run from accountability like it owes them money. They react to boundaries like you slap their ego. And they celebrate themselves while sabotaging everything around them. They want women to mother them, worship them, rescue them, fix them. But God forbid if you ask them to grow. Shit. They want the comfort that they never got from their mother, but none of the responsibility of being a partner. And if you refuse to play mommy, ma'am, you become the villain. Now, let's talk about these narcissists with mommy issues and how they love performing righteousness. 1 week they're giving sermons about unity and peace and community uplift, and then the next minute they're running side missions and side hustles that will make their ancestors side-eye them. These are the same motherfuckers that be running hoes, or trying to get your ass to do a gangbang so they can get some cash on the back end, or they just try to see how far they can take it. And then how far away if you willing to do whatever for him, then he's going to find a way to monetize that shit. Instead of doing an honest hustle, they want to hustle you. They'll shout black love with a raised fist, but then treat every woman in their orbit like a damn backup plan. They'll holler black power with their chest, but then their private life is sponsored by confusion, lies, and women that they use for emotional shelter. They'll swear they're revolutionaries, but the only thing that they've ever dismantled is the trust of people who cared about them. They want to be leaders, but they can't even lead themselves out of their own bullshit, out of their own emotional quicksand that they've been created. And they usually end up alone and sick, and depressed, and reevaluating all their damn life choices. Meanwhile, the good ones that did love them honestly or tried to, long gone, Instead of healing their mommy issues, they spread woundedness like gospel. By poisoning, relationships, damaging communities, creating trauma bonds, preaching what they don't practice, just demanding the support that they never give, and crying victim while acting like the villain. They will adopt the role of teacher and activist and guru, but every sermon that they preach is built on hypocrisy and avoidance. They become the epicenter of chaos while calling everyone else chaotic. It's sickening. And as far as accountability, if accountability was a person, a narcissist with mommy issues would block her number. They avoid responsibility like it's contagious. They rewrite history while you're still living the moment. They blame their childhood, their exes, their jobs, their stress, anything but themselves. But the truth is simple. Their mother's absence, neglect, or emotional inconsistency wounded them. Their refusal to heal weaponizes that wound, and if their sense of entitlement becomes a danger to anyone that loves them, because they feel like they're trying to fill a void, you know what I'm saying? So their sense of entitlement becomes a danger to anybody who tries to love them, because you're going to be exploited. You're going to be used up. You're going to be drained dry and left for dead. Period. And the real reason why they smear you is because you know them too well. You saw the vulnerable child that they hide from the world. You saw the insecurity behind their bravado, and you also saw the cracks behind the hero mask. And because you saw too much, you became a target. They can't let anyone believe you. You know the truth. And to the narcissist, the truth is lethal. That's why some of them motherfuckers will tell you to your face you're dangerous. And you're like, what the fuck? I ain't never slapped shit out you. I ain't never tried to run you over with my car. Why am I dangerous? No, you're dangerous because you know the dirty secret. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the way they disguise brokenness as brilliance. Let's talk about the way how they use the community rhetoric to hide personal demons. Let's talk about how they try to destroy every woman that they claim to uplift when they didn't walk the way that they wanted them to walk. Let's talk about how their mommy issues left them craving for love and fearing it at the same time. And let's talk about the damage that they caused when they refused to heal the wounds that they didn't create but continue to inflict. Because at some point, the hypocrisy gets loud, the contraindications get too obvious, and the mask starts feeling under its own weight. And only one thing to say after all that, make it make sense. You better recognize these demons when you see it on their spirit. And if you see a motherfucker fighting demons, you better get the hell out the way, because guess what? They're going to fight your ass next. I can only give you the nuggets that I've learned from trying to love somebody out of their toxicity and trying to fix them. You can't fix them. You can't fix them. All you could do is analyze the situation and move the hell out their way, because some demons are assigned to you. And that's real. That's all I got to say. And leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let's talk about it. You've been listening to the Chatterbox Network, hosted by Sassy Girl, also known as Trisha or Lady P. If something today resonated with you, challenged you, or gave you clarity, don't keep it to yourself. Go ahead and like this episode, drop a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next. Share this conversation with a friend, family member, or someone who needs to hear it, and feel free to post it across all your social media networks. Truth travels further when we pass it along. My mission remains the same: to enlighten minds, to inspire growth, to encourage resilience, and to uplift without watering down the truth or silencing lived experience. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep your voice.